What's up, guys? How's it going? Welcome back to the podcast. Oh, shit. I'm already feeling a little bit nervous and a little underprepared to talk about this, but I'm just going to wing it because that's what I do. I am coming in here today to talk to you about the takeaways from my girls' trip last week. And you might be laughing because you're like, why do you have takeaways from a girls' trip? But when you surround yourself with really high level humans and they become like some of your closest friends, you start going on girls' trips with people that really challenge your thinking. And I have the absolute gift of friendship with two incredible women who are just badasses in their own right. And they are also really high level coaches and high level thinkers and just high level humans. And man, it is such a gift to be surrounded by women like this. And I had the thought when we kind of parted ways on the last day. I was driving home because they actually came out here to Arizona and we stayed in Scottsdale at a house, like a really cool Airbnb. And I was driving home and, I've read so much over the years about how your vibe attracts your tribe and that you are the combination of the 5 people that you spend the most amount of time with. And I think I kind of resisted a little bit of this over the years because I have been growing and evolving and changing. And regardless of whether the people around me had or not, I still love them deeply and I'm still really connected to a lot of people. But what I know now, and one of my favorite things to know, is that some of the most important people in my life I haven't even met yet. And it's one of my favorite beliefs, and I share that a lot with my clients. So mark that one, write it down, is if you are feeling like you want to create more connection in your life, or that maybe the people that you're around right now don't really get it, I want you to stay open to creating and building new relationships, because this has proven over and over and over for me since I started this work that when I stay open, some of the most incredible people come into my life and I have an opportunity to build relationships with new people. And the beautiful thing is I've been lucky enough that I haven't lost a bunch of friendships with people that I've been doing life with for a long time, but I have absolutely gained friendships for this version of me who have come into my life in a time where I have been growing immensely, and they have gotten to know this version of me. And man, the level of relationship that can be built when people come into your world later in life, I think we devalue this. And so just something to think about for yourself. But damn if that just doesn't keep proving true for me. And this time together was such an incredible representation of that. So we spent 3 nights together here in Scottsdale, and it was such a blast. And the goal really was to have the most amount of fun. And that's something that I'm really that sounds so ridiculous, I know sometimes, but I'm really just trying to have more fun in my life. And so that was the intent when we booked the trip. And when you put 3 coaches in a room who have been coaching for a really long time, of course, you have a shit ton of fun because we're just fun humans. But we also just coached the shit out of each other's brains and each other's lives and each other's businesses and each other's relationships. And we just dug in over and over. And gosh, I literally walked in as one person and walked out as another person. And these in-person experiences, this is why I make sure that I offer retreats throughout the year. This is also why I include a retreat in my mastermind, because there is just nothing like a fully immersed in-person experience like this. You come in as one human and you leave as a different human. And even if you're not trying to, that's just what happens. And that's absolutely what happened this last week. And so I came in knowing that I'm ready for my next level. I came in knowing that my greatest problem is that I use thought work against myself in order to create abundance. And I'm using quotation marks when I say abundance, and I'll tell you why. Which means even though I have created a life that a version of me 5 years ago could not have even imagined was possible, I still settle for 85 to 90% in so many places in my life because I use thought work almost as a weapon to let it be good enough. And I know that it's probably because I'm scared of like going all in and what would happen if I go all in and it doesn't work out, but it is something that is holding me back in so many areas of my life. And I knew it like cognitively walking into this, but I didn't have the awareness that I gained in our time together. Um what else? When I imagined like what I wanted to leave with, I just wanted more clarity and confidence in where I'm going in my business. I am so blessed that the problem I'm facing in my business right now is that I don't have anywhere to put anyone that wants high level coaching. Like my one on one coaching roster is full, the vibe is full. The Sweet Spot Collective has spots open, which it's open right now, and we'll put the link in the show notes for that. But I open that quarterly, and most of the time we end up with 10 to 15 women in there, and I'm capping that at 20. And so realistically, I have like 5 spots at my lowest ticket offer, but outside of that, I really don't have anywhere else to put new clients that are coming into my world. And so I know that this is a high level problem, meaning like there's a version of me that existed a few years ago that was praying for this problem, but it is a challenge that I need to have a solution for. And so I knew I wanted to gain some confidence and some clarity around like where I want to go next with that. With that, when you reach this point in your business, this is also a time that I really have to look at my pricing, and I really have to look at like if I want to keep leveling up my income, I have to face the music on being willing to raise my prices, especially if I'm going to open any more spots. Like if I'm going to exchange any more time and open capacity and open more spots, I have to value it in a really big way, and I value my time in a really big way. So if I'm going to give up time with my family or give up time with myself, you guys know that's a huge priority for me. I have to start getting cozy with the idea that my prices are going to be going up. So I had some things to face. Obviously, I also am in the midst of walking through my sister's diagnosis, and so I knew that things would probably come up with that. And so I just walked in going like, I'm just going to be open, I'm going to stay open, I'm going to pour into them, but I knew I wanted to leave with some new awareness. And like I'm like, oh, like the awareness that I left with was like so life changing that now like literally nothing will ever be the same. So we solved for a lot of the things that like needed to be solved for on paper. I have really, really powerful ideas that I'm going to implement in my business. And, I was able to really feel my feelings in terms of like sharing what's going on in my life with my sister and all of that, which was so beautiful. Um, but what really like hit me like a Mack truck is them mirroring back to me how much I'm settling. And I still am uncomfortable about it. I'm sharing about it before I've really like wrapped my brain around it. And I'm doing that on purpose because one of my goals, especially with this podcast, is to be willing to share in real time, which is vulnerability, right? Like vulnerability is sharing in real time. Transparency is sharing after the fact. I'm real good at transparency. I'm real good at sharing my story after I've walked through the hard. I'm not as great at sharing in the moment because I feel like I want to have more answers for you guys, more things to offer you. But what I know is when I hear someone share in real time, I actually get more out of it. I gain more. There's more connection available to a message when it's being shared in real time. And so I'm working to do more of that. But we had my friend and my client, Jenna Clark, come in and do a breathwork session with us. And I do breathwork with Jenna a lot. She is my breathwork coach. I do breathwork with her a couple of times a month. We will also link her in the show notes because damn if she is not so gifted and so freaking brilliant. You guys, she does virtual sessions if you're not here in Arizona. If you are here in Arizona, I cannot recommend her enough. Like I've had the gift of walking with her as she's brought this business to life, which is like brings me like all of these feelings. But she is so gifted. She has changed my life so much. And so we will link her so that you can reach out to her. So she did a breathwork session on I think it was the second full day that we were there. So I walked into the breathwork session having no idea what was going to happen. Sometimes I have an intention going into breathwork, but that day I was just like, just stay open and see what drops in. And as she was talking, the coolest thing about Jenna is she can channel our energy and she like actually receives downloads about what we need to hear. And she was talking about really releasing limitation and fear. And then her like overriding message, which was so powerful for all three of us, was like, how good are you willing to let it get? And it hit me so hard. And it actually came in as like a wave of anger first, and then a wave of sadness that I have let fear stop me at that 90% mark. And I've used thought work and belief work to shift me into abundance. So I have let what is be good enough so much that I'm stopping myself at that 90% mark in every area of my life. And it hit me with anger at first, like anger at myself that I have let this happen, because I have this thought that like I could or should be further along right now at 42 years old. Like I could or should be further along. Like that is a story that is a not so kind story that I tell myself a lot when I am in lack and fear. And it keeps me in lack and fear because it's this like self-deprecating thought that like I should be further along right now. And that is rooted in shame. And so it keeps me at that 90% mark. But what I haven't let myself feel is the full disappointment that I actually have in myself about it. And oh my gosh, you guys, it was like a wave of anger, then a giant wave of sadness. And the sadness stayed with me for a while during breathwork, and I was just crying and I was just kind of like letting it out and like letting it move through me. And then she said something along the lines of, "What about love?" And so after like, you lose track of time when you're in breathwork, but I'm guessing it was probably about like, I don't know, 15 minutes of like letting the disappointment and the sadness and those honest thoughts move through me that like, I've been saying things like you could or should be further along by now, but I haven't let myself feel the disappointment that comes with those thoughts. I've just been like letting it, like, it's almost like I've been swirling this drain of like doing mindset work to let it be enough and find abundance. And if you see me, if you're on YouTube watching this, you see me, I'm like rolling my hand around in a circle, but I hadn't let myself go down to the bottom of the drain, which was sadness. Like I hadn't let myself actually feel the disappointment that I have in myself. And I promise there's a good ending to this because this sounds so depressing and it was actually really hard to face. But like I really need to feel that sadness. I need to feel this disappointment that I have in myself, that I keep blocking myself out of fear or lack and shame. I'm blocking myself from receiving what is actually possible for me. And so I had this visual where like I'm spinning this drain and all I have to do is go down and actually feel the sadness. So I felt the sadness for a while. And then she said something along the lines of like, what about love? And I burst into tears even more and just felt this like giant wave of love. Like like it was telling me like the only thing that you have to do is love yourself enough to walk that other 10%. This isn't going to come from pressure and force and shame and lack. This isn't going to come from you telling yourself you should be further along by now. This isn't going to come from you like grinding and hustling your way to it. This is going to come from you loving yourself enough to create it. And I just cried and cried and cried for like the rest of the session. And then for a few hours after, like letting myself fully experience this giant awakening and this giant breakthrough. And the most beautiful thing that I realized is this, is when I first started my coaching business, I was looking for a message. I was looking for like, what is my message? Like, what am I hanging my hat on? What am I telling people is the key to this work? And I got this download, and this was in 2021. I got this download over and over that was like, choose you, choose you, choose you. And so the entire first 2 years of this business, I used that message. Like everything I created was created around the 2 words, choose you. And then over the last 3 years, I have taken all of these different paths to try to be more and to try to do things different and to try to like be better. And I've gotten away from these words, choose you. And I don't think that it's without cause. I think that like all of those different paths were really beautiful and they've served a lot of people. But what I realized during this breathwork session is like, this is my message. I teach people how to choose themselves, how to love themselves enough, how to trust in the inherent worth of them just because they are, how to love themselves to the result, not shame and force and pressure themselves to the result. Like, this is what I teach. And I believe it so deeply, but I have let shame keep me from this last 10% of loving myself enough, loving all parts of me, loving parts of me that I've turned off over the years because maybe they weren't productive, loving parts of me that are loud and bossy and silly and all these things that I actually really am, but I've turned the volume down on because they didn't serve me at one point or another in my life. And what I realized in that moment is like my only job to walk towards this next 10% is to love all of me, to know that I am whole when I bring all of those parts of me to the table. And it's scary as shit. Like realizing that like, and I, again, like I think I realized I have layers of sadness too, that I have like set parts of me down for the sake of others, that I have turned the volume down on certain parts of me that weren't validated and weren't appreciated. And that my only job, though, is to really spend time getting to know those parts of me again and letting all of me come to the table. And I'm like, you guys, this is it. This is our job. Our job is to exist in the frequency of authenticity. It is like Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about, like authenticity is the highest vibration that we can exist in because it means that we are existing at 100% of who we were created to be. And that version of us is always rewarded for that. Like, it doesn't matter what you believe in, but I believe deeply in a source, a creator, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, is like we were created to exist at 100%. And so many of us have along the way turned off parts of us. And so maybe you're at 60% or 70% of who you are because you've turned the volume down on certain parts of you. So even if you are in abundance for your life, which is the real breakthrough I had, is I'm like, but I really do love my life and I really do love myself and I really do like love what is. But I'm not letting all parts of me exist. And so I am not actually loving all parts of me. And until I do that, I'm going to continue to stop myself at 90% because those other parts of me have to have their volume up in order for me to create at 100%. And so my work is to be brave. My work is to go out into the world and let those other parts of me come out and to get to know them again. And so that's the work I'm doing right now, is like spending time with myself enough and really calling up those parts of me that I have turned the volume down on over the years, and really working to find the courage to let all of those parts of me feel safe and come out into the world and just see what happens from there. Because authenticity is the highest vibration. And when we are existing as our full volume all the way up, authentic self, we are co-creating with God and the universe at the highest level. And it is like that, this is where limitless possibility exists. And so these are my takeaways. This was my big breakthrough. It feels scary to share it, but also really, really good because I know that this can help you. I know that if you listen to this and apply it to whatever parts resonate with you, I know that all of us are faced with some version of this. And I feel so grateful to be back, like back at my core message of like choosing you, loving you, being you is your job. It's what makes this work go to work out into the world. And so whether you're building a big business like I am, or whether you're really focused on your family right now, whatever you're doing, whatever it is that you want to create in this life, the path to creating it is filled with loving yourself at the deepest level and loving all parts of you. And gosh damn, what a beautiful work to do, right? So if you're looking to do this work, I do have like a shameless plug is like, this is literally the work that we do inside the Sweet Spot Collective. It used to be called the Choose You Collective. So I'm going to have to consider if I want to change that back. But the Sweet Spot still feels very applicable for that room and very applicable for the place that I am in my life. But this is the work that we do in there. It is my 6-month group coaching program. Like I said, I'm going to cap it at 20 women. So I think I have 7 spots left. It's $297 a month. You guys, this is the most accessible place to access me and my coaching. You get at least 3 group calls a month, sometimes 4. You get unlimited coaching in the group. We do incredible challenges. I'm actually going to record a separate podcast on the challenge that we're doing in there right now. And you get an incredible group of women to do this work with that will become those people for you. Like the relationships that have been created in this room. Like I have women visiting each other across the country right now that have met in this room. Like, again, some of the most important people in your life you haven't even met yet, and they might just be in this beautiful, safe space. So if you are looking for a room to walk into, I would love to have you in here. The link is in the show notes. Jump in here. We start April 15th. If you jump in, you actually get access to all of the library of videos and things that I've created for this room. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful space, and I would love, love, love to have you in there. All right, you guys. Thank you for being here. If this resonated with you, please, please, please reach out to me and tell me. I've been getting so many messages from you guys as you listen to these episodes and like sharing your takeaways. I would so appreciate it if you would go in and leave a review. It just really helps me get this word out to more people, and share it. Share this episode with someone. If it hit home with you, hit the share button and send it to someone. Again, this is the way that I can impact more people in the world, is to have you guys share the stuff that matters to you and that hits home for you. Because if it does that for you, I'm sure that it would do it for someone else. All right, you guys, we will see you in the next episode.